So you're saying Matthew is an eyewitness to the crucifixion?
Absolutely.
Where does he say he witnessed the crucifixion?
Because he was a disciple.
It doesn't matter.
Because he was a disciple. It tells you.
So what?
It tells you that.
Where does in the Bible it says that Matthew saw the crucifixion? Nowhere. You believe Jesus is God, right?
Yeah, I do. Of course.
Does God die?
Of course, in the flesh.
God dies in the flesh.
In the flesh. In the flesh.
This guy's a blasphemer. The first person is always immortal. The second person is mortal. Hence, they are not co-equal. Hence, it disqualifies Jesus as God because God never ever dies. According to 1 Timothy chapter 6:16, it says he alone is immortal. God.
It's an historical fact that Jesus
Based on whom?
Based on history.
Okay, give me one person who is an eyewitness to the crucifixion.
Well, you said, okay, and then that's when you then said.
You call it a fact, so give me an eyewitness.
You said on the cross, and I've got John 19 on the cross. It says here, after this, Jesus, knowing that all that he has finished, said to him, this actually, John was on the cross.
John was on the cross.
John was next to the cross. I mean,
where does it say John was next to the cross?
So look. So the soldier said to him, and then Jesus saw his mother and the disciple who he loved standing nearby. And he said
where does
to his mother, that's John.
No, that's your claim.
But that's John.
Based on whom?
But so
you keep saying historically, as if it's some fact with evidence. You don't have no evidence.
So your claim that there was no one next to him on the cross is false.
No, I'm saying that is not John.
Yeah, but your original claim was that there was no one next to him.
No, I said there's no. Okay, listen to what I said. Because you're doing a straw man here.
No, I'm not.
This is what I said. I said if you can bring me one eyewitness who has written about the account of the crucifixion, then you have a point. Right now we have nothing.
You said that, but then you then said, there was.
Forget you said. I said. Just answer the question. Can you bring an eyewitness or not?
I'm saying to you that, but that's an historical fact.
Based on whom?
Yeah, that's an historical fact.
You keep repeating it as if it makes it a historical fact.
But you're basing on a claim happened 600 years that is not factual.
Okay, can I answer you?
It's just not.
Can I answer you without you raising your voice unnecessarily?
Okay. There was actually outside, hold on one second. Outside of the Bible, there's actually 4 Romans and Greek. Like for example, Josephus. It's an historian that actually specifically.
Josephus was not an eyewitness.
But I said he's an historian.
Doesn't matter.
He's an historian.
So what?
Yeah.
Historians do lie. You know that.
But historian. But literally, you had 4. Even
had 4 what?
4 different.
4 what?
Accounts outside of the Bible.
Is anyone an eyewitness from those accounts? None. Okay, so you lost that argument because I asked for an eyewitness. You gave none.
No, the Bible says the disciples. I just showed it to you, John 19.
Okay.
The disciple was there.
What's your name?
It says Patrick.
Patrick. Yeah. Okay, let's start over. Okay, let's calm down.
Sure.
No need to raise the voice. What makes you think the Bible is a historically accurate document?
What makes me say that the Bible is a historical?
Yeah.
Because every time, archaeologically, the Bible has been proven time and again. Every time you dig, and then all the claims that are in the Bible have actually been proven wrong. All right.
Okay. Shall I prove that claim wrong?
All of that. Yeah.
Shall I prove your claim wrong?
That's one.
No, but can I respond?
I haven't finished. Let me.
Okay. How many you got? Go. So one is saying every time an archaeologist done, it is true. No evidence given, just a claim.
Two,
gone.
Historians outside of the Bible have corroborated the stories in the Bible.
No.
Yeah?
No one outside the Bible claimed the crucifixion. The resurrection or the crucifixion based on eyewitness account. None.
Did they claim that Jesus died?
Who claimed?
Historians.
People did claim.
No, historians, like known historians.
Give me one name of a historian who was an eyewitness.
I've just said to you, regardless of the eyewitness. Yeah.
Oh, regardless of the eyewitness. All of a sudden.
No, but I'm saying to you, but even historically, tell me, even people like Alexander the Great. There was no eyewitness.
Alexander the Great.
There was no eyewitness there. Actually,
there are lots of eyewitness to Alexander the Great. What are you on about?
Historians. The historians' accounts are not eyewitness accounts.
Okay, so you're saying.
But this is my point.
Wait, are you now claiming that there are no eyewitness accounts for Jesus? Is that what you're saying?
There is eyewitness accounts.
Who is that?
But there is eyewitness. The disciples were there. I just showed you the Bible.
Okay, so which disciple was there?
I've just showed
you made a claim. The name wasn't there.
But it shows you.
The name wasn't there.
It tells you that his disciple was there.
Okay, it also says Mary was there. So
exactly.
Did Mary write any gospels? No, they didn't.
No, but that breaks your claim that there was no.
Can I respond to your earlier statement now?
Hold on. So do you?
Will you let me talk, or you're going to be like the other guy?
1 second. Let me just.
If you don't let me talk,
1 second.
then you can look in the mirror, talk to yourself.
1 second. So your claim was this, yeah?
What?
There is no eyewitness
For the crucifixion of Jesus.
crucifixion of Jesus, yeah? But the Bible is telling you there were eyewitnesses.
It's called
there.
circular argument.
But there were eyewitnesses there.
Why can't you name any? Why can't you name even one?
The disciples were there. I just said.
All the disciples were there.
Mary was there.
Okay, Mary was there.
Yeah.
Did Mary write any documents about the crucifixion?
So hold on. So all eyewitnesses.
Let's go to the next point. You're done with this.
Hold on.
You're done, bro. You're done. Now let me talk.
Are you saying all eyewitnesses have to have an account? Have to write an account?
If you're saying that there is a historical fact, then there must be an eyewitness to the crucifixion through whom the historian got the account from.
Yes.
If you cannot even name an eyewitness, then your argument is null and void. Now wait. Now you spoke a lot. Now let me speak. You said everything in the Bible is something that the historians have already given you evidence that it is a fact. Am I right? Something around that.
I'm saying you're not going to find any historian
who goes against.
That goes against apart from the
okay, I'll give you one.
Apart from a Muslim.
No, I'll give you. I'll give you.
History tells you that that's the most certain thing that happened in history.
That's a delusional claim. Anyway, let me talk without you interrupting. Can you do that?
Jesus died.
Can you do that now without you interrupting me? Can you let me talk? You talked a lot. Calm down, dude.
You asked me what I know.
No, calm down. I said you didn't give an eyewitness. We are done with that. Now I'm going to the next point. Do you know one of the books of the Gospels? Sorry, one of the Gospels, the Gospel of Matthew. Did Matthew mention that during the resurrection, or after the resurrection, during the crucifixion of Jesus, there were saints which got up from the graves and walked in the cities?
Yes.
Okay. Why did no other Gospels record this? Only the Gospel of Matthew.
Does that make it not true?
Can you answer the question?
But that's a fallacy.
Are you going to answer the question or not?
No, just because just Matthew accounted for it, that doesn't make it not true.
Why did they not record it?
But why does it make it not? Because I tell you, the different Gospels, this is one thing that Muslims need to know. The different Gospels looked at the event from a different perspective.
But they didn't give any perspective
so from different
of that event.
I'll tell you one, yeah. Like Matthew looked at the Gospel, look at Jesus from a Jewish perspective. Yeah. When you look at Luke was a physician. Looked at Jesus.
Luke was not an eyewitness. He never looked at Jesus.
No.
What are you on about?
I'm talking about his accounts. I'm talking about the accounts of Luke.
You said he looked at Jesus.
No, I'm saying
this guy's lie from their own.
If I say to you I'm looking at Jesus, does that mean I'm literally looking at? Like,
what does it mean if you're looking at Jesus?
Of literal. I'm talking about.
So what does it mean?
I'm talking about the account of Luke.
By the way, can you answer the question I asked?
Hold on.
Why did none of the other gospel writers write it?
I'm talking about the account of Luke. I'm talking about the account of Luke in the Gospel.
He was not an eyewitness. Do you agree?
That's not what Matthew was.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying only Matthew wrote it. Why did John not write it? Why did John not write it?
So you just said no, name me one eyewitness. I've named you Matthew now.
No, I'm saying.
But Jesus was crucified according to Matthew.
My argument was from the book of Matthew.
So the argument is.
So I'm already making the claim that Matthew, according to your Bible.
So the argument is done. You said there was.
I don't think we're having a discussion. You keep shouting unnecessarily. Do you even understand the question I asked you?
No, you said to me from your preview, you said there is no one eyewitness, and I've given you an eyewitness. I said Matthew did.
For what? What did I ask you eyewitness for?
The crucifixion.
Okay, so you're saying Matthew is an eyewitness to the crucifixion.
Absolutely.
Why does he say he witnessed the crucifixion?
Because he was a disciple.
It doesn't matter.
Because he was a disciple. It tells you.
So what?
It tells you that.
Why does in the Bible it says that Matthew saw the crucifixion? Nowhere. And by the way, why did you go back to that point? We have dealt with. My question was, if Matthew saw the saints, rising like zombies and walking the city, why did John not write about it? Why did Luke not write about it? Why did Mark not write about it?
I told you.
You know why nobody wrote about it? Because that is a false claim by Matthew. If this is such a huge event, you need to let me finish. You know how huge this event is? Imagine there were dinosaurs who rose up from the ground and they started walking here. Yes, if one historian wrote this and he said none of the other people wrote it, it will be something as great as that, because according to them that was a great miracle of God, that these saints who were dead, they rose from their graves and walked like zombies on the earth. I'm asking, no, you need to, this is a question you need to answer. Why did none of the Gospels write such a huge event? Answer that question. If you don't answer it, this is the end of the discussion.
I told you just because Matthew accounted for it doesn't make it, just because it's just Matthew that
Why didn't they not write about it?
Because Matthew took it from a different, that's the answer that I was.
What is the answer?
They gave you from a different perspective.
And what is that perspective?
A different perspective.
What is that perspective?
Matthew looked at the crucifixion and the life of Jesus from.
So did the saints rise or not?
Hold on.
Did the saints rise from the grave or not?
Hold on. That's not the.
That is what you need to answer.
You're going to that was not our original.
Doesn't matter. That is my question now.
My question, but
look, if you're not going to answer, I'm going to go.
Original.
Doesn't matter. I've answered your original question. You're repeating yourself now.
The original question was this: Did Jesus Christ die? I said to you historically, he did. That's without question. I said that's one of the most.
Without question to whom?
Yeah. And then you asked if there was one eyewitness.
I've answered that question.
And I said to you,
not a single eyewitness he produced so far.
Matthew was an eyewitness. If all you have to
Matthew never said he witnessed crucifixion.
27, he gave you an account of what happened. And
Matthew,
yeah?
you know Matthew copied from Mark. Do you know that? Are you aware of this?
But you know Matthew was a disciple that he was there. Did you know that he was there?
I know that.
Did you know he was there?
That is a claim.
Yeah? So no.
Now answer my question.
Yeah. So
did Matthew copy?
Matthew was a disciple,
listen.
and John was a disciple.
Are you aware?
Yeah. And then
you need to calm down.
No,
Are you aware that Matthew copied more than 70% of his gospel from Mark, who is not a disciple?
Regardless.
What do you mean regardless?
But Matthew was there. So no, he didn't copy. First of all,
he did copy according to the Christian scholars.
Incorporated it.
No, copied.
No, it
literally word for word.
That's not true. That's not
plagiarism.
Have you looked at the two? Have you looked at the two?
Why are the Christian scholars saying this?
Have you looked at the two gospels?
Of course.
Is it word for word?
Yeah, not all of it. I said 70%.
70% is not word for word. That's not true.
Okay,
that's
so
actually not
imagine
true.
this.
That's not true.
Okay,
that's not.
Can I speak without you getting emotional?
So let me tell you.
No. You need to let me talk now.
But you've been talking.
No. You are the one answering.
I started talking and you interjected.
Okay, we have moved on from the crucifixion to the saints. You haven't answered the question.
But that's the original. How can we move on from the crucifixion? My whole point was from.
By the way, you know crucifixion. What does it prove?
My whole point was.
You're a Christian, right?
Yeah. My whole point was this.
Calm down, dear.
Jesus Christ died.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and then the Muslims.
Let's say I give you that.
Hold on. Yeah, but Muslims claiming that he didn't die.
Yes, he didn't die.
You're going against history. You're going
not history.
Again,
you're going against Christians. Okay. So you're a Christian. Am I right? You're a Christian, right?
I am a Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
You believe Jesus is God, right?
Yeah, I do. Of course.
Does God die?
Of course, in the flesh.
God dies in the flesh.
In the flesh. In the flesh.
This guy's a blasphemer.
In the flesh.
Why is
that? So no, God doesn't die because what is?
What is that?
But what is that?
Yeah, what is that?
What
exactly.
is that? What is that?
Tell me what is that?
No, you tell me because you're asked.
Okay, if I tell you,
what is that?
Okay, if I tell you, then will you answer my question?
But what is death?
I will tell you. Will you then answer my question?
Answer your question.
Good. Death is a separation of the soul from the body.
Yes.
Did Jesus experience that?
Yes, in the flesh, but he didn't die.
Did Jesus experience death?
God didn't die.
Okay, now you said you're going to answer my question.
Yeah?
Now you're going to answer my question. I've answered yours.
Yes.
Now you're going to answer my question.
So I'm telling you now. So your question is, did God die?
The guy just told me he's going to answer my question. Now he's.
But that's what I'm saying.
Don't go back on your premise.
Your question is, did God die? I'm answering your question. Yeah, God. Jesus died in the flesh.
Okay.
But God never died.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah? Because in his nature.
Very good.
Because if you understand what Jesus is, if you understand the nature of Jesus.
Why shouting? I'm just here. Calm down. Hold on. Let me calm down. I know you're excited.
Let me explain.
You're panicking. You need to calm down.
Panicking or what?
Why are you shouting then? Calm down.
Why do I panic?
Okay.
What, you make me panic?
Yes. Because you just realized your God died.
For what?
By his own creation.
No, not at all. Because this is any Christian that you ask, yeah? God never died.
So died on the cross.
Jesus Christ, there was a separation of the flesh. The flesh died, but Jesus didn't die.
Okay. Can I answer now without you panicking?
God didn't
you
die.
need to calm down. Okay.
God didn't, but
I will answer. No. I'll tell you why your question is. I'll tell you why.
First of all, do you know what?
This guy doesn't want to listen at all.
What do Christians believe?
You believe your God died on the cross for you.
What? No, we don't.
No? Okay. Is Jesus the second person of the Trinity?
Yes, Jesus. Yeah, but
okay. Now listen to my question.
The man. Oh no, let me explain to you. You can't.
You like your voice, isn't it?
No, but you have to. You can't.
You really love your voice.
You asked the question.
Is this how you practice in front of the mirror every day?
You asked the question. You said the second person. Yeah, the second person of the Trinity was before the man. So it's the second person of the Trinity that took on flesh.
Good.
So when he died, the flesh died.
I think we should time this because this guy doesn't understand the concept of a discussion. Shall we time it? 2 minutes for you? Okay, 1 minute for you, 1 for. In that 1 minute you don't interrupt. In your 1 minute I don't interrupt.
Absolutely.
You see, I have to do this because you don't want to have a conversation.
You're interjecting like
no, I'm not.
This is a false thing. You're going on as if like you're.
Does somebody want to time it if you don't mind?
Time it. Time it.
We do 1 minute, inshallah. Okay. So
start now.
You said God did not die; the flesh died. This is what I heard from you. Okay. My question is not about the what. My question is about the who died on the cross.
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand the difference between the what and the who? In case you don't, let me tell you what it is. The what is the nature. So if I asked you, did the nature of God died, then your answer that the flesh died would be correct. However, my question is not about the nature. I told you not to interrupt. You see what I mean? There's a reason I timed it. Because I know you would do that. The reason I told you that, for you to say the flesh died, it is you answering my question about the what. My question is not about the what, not about the nature, no, it's about the who. So who died on the cross? Is it the first person of the Trinity, the second person, the third person, or someone else? That is the question you need to answer. Who died on the cross, not the what. Go on.
First of all, you got it wrong. So actually, the nature is the what. It's not the who. The person is
That's what
the
I
who.
said.
No, you just made the wrong. You just said it's not that. So the nature of God is the what.
That's what I said.
No, that's not what you said.
Okay, carry on. It's on camera.
You said the opposite of
It's
that.
on camera. It's on camera.
So the nature of God is the what. That's the one that never died. It's the person of Jesus Christ is the who. That's the flesh. That's the flesh that died. Yeah, the words. Like for example, your being. For example, this is the difference between your being and your person. Your being is what you are. For example, a rock is a being. A rock is a being. What it is, it's a being. So, but a rock has no person. So even though the rock is a what, and then we are because we're human beings. That means we've got a what as a being, and then we've got a who as a person. So the person of Jesus
is it done?
Died. But the what's never died.
Okay, so who died? You didn't answer the question still.
The person of Jesus.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good. So now we have agreed. That's fine. That's fine. So when you say the person died, okay, that is the second person of the Trinity, because there are no other persons. Okay, Jesus is not made of two persons. That would become a heresy called Nestorianism. So if you're saying the second person of the Trinity died. Very good. That means someone who dies is not immortal. Since the second person of the Trinity died and the first person never ever died, which is the Father, then we can conclude that the second person of the Trinity, the who, yes, which I clearly said the who all the time, I never said it was the what, the who is the second person who died, which means that that second person is not immortal and is mortal. So we can conclude that the first person is always immortal, the second person is mortal, hence they are not co-equal, hence it disqualifies Jesus as God, because God never ever dies. According to 1 Timothy chapter 6:16, it says he alone is immortal. God.
So this is the thing. So when you talk about personhood, we're talking about person as in someone that has will and intellect. When I'm talking about person, I'm not talking about that. When I said who died, as in the person that died, I'm talking about the flesh. I'm talking about the flesh. So I'm talking about the flesh. When I said the what, that's the what. No,
this guy confused him. No, bro, don't disturb him. Let him finish. Let him finish.
So when I say about the personhood of the person that died, I'm talking about the flesh. I'm not talking about the nature of God that died. That's the what. The nature is the what, never died. The person as in the flesh of it's the nature that came into the flesh. It's that person that died, but the words remained.
The guy confused himself so much. He's done, right? He's done.
The words remained. So the person of Jesus as in the flesh died, but the nature of God never died, because God is eternal. I think Jesus is eternal.
Okay. You said the person died. Many times you have said the person died. I'm agreeing with you. The person did die according to you. The second person, which is the only person within Jesus, died. Hence, he, by definition of the term death, implies that he is not immortal. Now, the Father never ever dies. That's the reason if you go to 1 Timothy chapter 6 verse 16, he says he alone is immortal. Whom is he referring to? The Father. When he says he alone is immortal, the term alone is showing you exclusivity, which means nobody else is immortal, only the Father. Okay? Just like Jesus, when he was, according to your John 3:16, it says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. The term only, exclusive, that means there's no other begotten son for that God except Jesus. Again, the term exclusive. So you cannot say the term only in 1 Timothy 6:16 applies to anybody else except the Father, because if you're going to keep saying that Jesus, the person, died, then that is the second person of the Trinity.
That's not true. You're conflating person and personality.
Ah, now you changed.
No, you're conflating. When you say the second person of the Trinity, before he was in the flesh.
Who?
Hold on. Before
The who?
Let me.
Yeah, sure.
Can I, before he was in the flesh, before Jesus was in the flesh, he was still the second person of the Trinity. Before he even came to the flesh, so the personality, it was already there. So it didn't become the second person of the Trinity when he came on earth. It was already there. So that nature, that's part of his nature, that never died. The only thing that died is the flesh. So when you're saying personhood, you're conflating person and personality. The second nature, the second person of the Trinity already had the personality, because there was a distinction between the Father and the Son from as far back as you can go in eternity. This is the reason why John 1 says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was...
Your time is up, man. Come on, you're the timekeeper, bro. It's been up for a long time.
Now you've just
Oh, you want 2 seconds?
No, it's okay. It's fine. That's we see.
Yeah, I like the way you turn person and personality
it's okay.
to confuse the matter. By the way, personality is nature. If you want to look up the dictionary, you can do it. So his whole argument about personality goes out the window, which is actually that is a nature. So the question still stands. Who died? The second person of the Trinity. Whether he was God before or not, or whether he was a person, second person, I did not even argue that. In fact, I never made the claim that he was not the second person according to the Christians. So now I will ask you a different question to rephrase this for you, so that it will be easy for you to understand.
Sure.
According to the Christians, there is a difference between pre-incarnation and post-incarnation. The natures of Jesus does change. So pre-incarnation, Jesus had only one nature, not two natures. He didn't have the human nature before he incarnated. After the incarnation, he took upon the human nature. So now listen to this carefully. I never said the divine nature went away. The divine nature is still there, but to that was added the human nature. This nature, now the essence of Jesus has changed from only divine to divine and human. Do you agree or disagree with that?
So on earth, just on the period of time when he came on earth, he took upon himself human flesh. Of course he did. He took upon himself human nature.
There was a change.
No. So the Godhead. This is why the Bible tells you in Colossians, he said, in him dwells the fullness of the Godhead bodily.
But there was a change.
So the only change was it put on flesh. But the divine never changed. No, but the divinity never changed. The divinity is always been the same.
Brother, let him answer.
There wasn't a change in the divinity. There was a change in the flesh, because he took on flesh. Because obviously flesh died. He had to take on flesh for him to die. Otherwise he wouldn't be able to die. It had to be a perfect sacrifice. That's why he had to be perfect. Even in the Quran tells you that Jesus Christ was perfect. He's the only person on earth.
No, it didn't say that in the Quran. That's false. Okay.
So that's why he had to.
By the way, you haven't answered my question. Do you remember my question? I don't think you remembered my question. No, wait. The whole idea of us making sure that you go by time is so you answer the question.
Use your time.
No. I'm going to wait. If you're not going to answer my question, what's the point of time? At least do you remember the question?
I do remember.
What is the question?
You remember the question because we were talking about a person.
No. What was the question that I asked you?
About what?
About what you just answered. What was the question?
Say it again.
No, I'm going to waste my time.
Say it again.
Okay. If you can't answer, I'm going to ask somebody else.
You're wasting more time. Exactly.
Nobody. If you're
trying to make.
It is okay. Do you remember the question I asked? Or were you not listening either?
You're trying to straw man.
Exactly. See, you were listening. Unlike this guy. This guy doesn't. I asked you.
And I told you the two natures.
By the way, it's my time. Calm down. No need to get emotional. I asked you what was the question. You didn't remember the question.
You're playing to the camera. I know. That's what you do.
Dude, if I wanted to play with camera, I could have easily done that. Okay. So my question was very simple. Before incarnation and after incarnation. It's a very simple question. He completely evaded that. Okay? My question was, before incarnation, he had only divine nature, one nature. After incarnation, according to your belief, he had two natures, which means he added a new nature. When you add a new nature, your essence changes from only divine to divine and human. Okay, so it's a change in nature. According to the Bible, God doesn't change in nature. Malachi 3:6 very clearly says, when you put on a human nature, it means you have clearly demonstrated from the Bible that Jesus is not God, because God clearly doesn't change nature. Now, if you're going to answer that question about one nature, two nature, and if you're not going to answer this time, then it's a waste of time.
First of all, no Christian believe that. We believe that Jesus Christ take two persons, but he's still shared in the nature of God. So
did you say two persons?
So Jesus Christ, as in the two nature is the person and the nature of God. So one person of Jesus Christ and the nature of God. Yeah. So it's not two natures. It has one nature. Yeah. So the nature of God that took on flesh, that took on personhood. Yeah. That took on.
Carry on. I'm listening.
That took on personhood. That's the nature. That's the nature. So when he came on earth, he still had the divine nature, but it just added onto that a personhood.
Added.
The human nature too.
Brother, let him answer.
So the personhood of the human side of things. Yeah, but the nature of God never changed. It's the same. It's always been the same.
Sure,
even before eternity, throughout all of his life and after his resurrection, he still had the divine nature that never changed.
Okay, good. Just one clarification from you. After incarnation, how many natures?
It's called the hypostasia. So this is the two.
It's not hypostatic. It's called hypostatic union. If you don't know how to pronounce it, just say two natures.
Hypostatic nature. So that's
good. So how many natures after incarnation?
So make your point.
No, that's a clarification.
Make your point.
Dude, I need clarification.
No, make your point. I've already
okay,
answered.
Looks like. Look, you don't want to discuss.
I've already answered your question.
Okay.
That he took on flesh.
How many natures after incarnation?
He had the human nature. Yes, he had the.
Okay, so one nature is called human.
And then he had the divine nature.
Good, so two natures, right?
Yes.
After incarnation, two natures. Just
yes.
wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
Why so difficult?
But he never lost.
I never said it did. Stop strawmanning me.
Exactly.
Okay, so now that we have got confirmation, finally, that Jesus after incarnation had two natures. But pre-incarnation, how many natures?
He had the divine nature.
Only one nature. Is one equal to two? No. Any primary student in a primary school will tell you that one is not equal to two. How is a nature which you add on? Now Jesus, his essence has two natures. How is that not change in nature? Because before he did not have the human nature, and now he's added the human nature. Okay? So clearly, it is very clear that is a change in nature.
This is the thing. You're not timing. You're not. It hasn't.
You know what talking about.
You
asked him a question.
All right. So go on, dude. Stop wasting time. Come on.
This is that.
If you don't want to talk, we can stop.
Let's be honest.
Okay, we can stop if you don't want to talk.
The two natures that Jesus took on, nothing was limited in the divine nature. Yeah. Only when he was on earth. He had to fit into human nature and everything. But when he went back, when he left, when he resurrected, he took upon. This is why Philippians 2:15 says, not being in the form of God, he didn't take it necessarily.
You're waffling. You're waffling.
It was equal.
Wallah, you're waffling. It's a waste of time.
Hold on.
No, just answer his question.
He will not do that. That's the problem. The third time he's done this.
Nature change. That's the
only.
You know what? I'm going to stop here. No. Wait. I'm going to stop the discussion here because you don't seem like a sincere person.
Let me answer your question. God's nature. I said that God's nature never.
Did I say changed?
Yeah, but this is what you're saying.
You don't understand the question. That means
God's nature never changed.
Okay, good. Let's leave it there.
It just added.
We'll leave it for the people to judge.
It just added on.
We will leave it for the people to judge.
Pray to the camera.
Yeah, I'm praying to the camera.
Let's talk about.
No. Forget it. I don't want to talk to you anymore.